Hey everybody, this is Alex Merced from alexmercedcoder.com, and this is from zero to deployed. I'm actually going to make a app to keep track of pets, and I'm going to do it within the span of this video. So we're going to go from literally nothing to a deployed application. I'm going to walk you through what I do. Okay, now this is not a video to learn all these individual pieces, so I'm not going to be explaining every little step along the way. But if you're familiar with a lot of these technologies, this video should help you get a better idea of the big picture and how to do these things. So I'm going to start a new project. So we're going to create a new project folder, project 3. And then I'm going to go open up the terminal, and I'm using Visual Studio Code as my editor. I'm going to open this up in terminal. So now I have a terminal, a bash terminal. So again, if you're on Windows, you might want to get like git bash, so that way you can use bash on Windows. If you're on Mac or Linux, bash should be your default terminal. And you're going to want to make sure you have Node installed, which comes with npm, the Node package manager. And what I'm going to do is first create a server.js file. And then I am going to create a npm init-y, a package.json. Okay, the -y will just kind of skip through all the steps, so that way a package.json gets generated. So we'll see that pop up right over here. And then I'm going to get all my dependencies installed. So for this project, I plan on using Express as my server. We may need, well, I'm going to want to use eventually Express sessions. We'll see if we have time for that, but we'll set it up. Express session. We're going to want method override. We are going to want mongoose because we're going to connect to a Mongo database, and we're going to want express react views, and we're going to want react and react DOM. Okay, that's going to handle our view engine. So all that, if I hit done all that, I'm going to let that all install. That's going to take a bit. And meanwhile, we will begin on our server.js. Okay, now here's the thing. This is going to be deployed. So the first thing you want to do is just create the minimum viable product, something that's visible, that we can go get up online and know that it works. So that way we know that this works. Okay, so first things first. Oh, there's a couple other libraries I want to add afterwards. Okay. Okay, so let's create our server. Const express equals require express. Okay, and then I want to create my app object. Const app equals express, the function. Cool. So I'm just going to mark some of the stuff off. So here I'm bringing in all my dependencies. In a second here, we'll have middleware. Actually, here we'll put database connection for later. Then I'll have all my middleware. Then I'll have my routes. And we need our listener, which is going to be app.listen. So this is the function that's going to allow Express to listen for requests, which we're going to do on port 3000. Actually, let me set this up in a way that's ready for Heroku, because again, we're going to deploy this. So for Heroku, we're going to want to create a variable called port that's going to equal an environmental variable. Okay, it has to do this, it has to do with how Heroku works. So Heroku is going to give us a port when we upload it to Heroku. So the way we send it to our code is through this variable, because this represents our process.env, represents our environmental variables. Okay. But if that variable does not exist, then we will use 3000. Okay. And I'm going to also bring in the .env library so that we can use a .env file. Require. Okay, require .env, so I'm bringing in the library. Then it has a function called config that I can just do that, and then that brings in the .env file, which I will create here in project 3. And again, this is just a file to store hidden variables. On that note, I should probably make a git ignore, because we're going to need that as well. .git ignore. Git ignore tells Git what files to ignore. So we're going to ignore the .env file because we don't want those publicly stored online. And then we also don't want to upload our node modules folder. That's where all our dependencies are downloaded. It'll get re-downloaded when we push it up to Heroku. Heroku will look in the package.json and re-download all those dependencies. So I'm going to save that. That is good and good to go. Now in my environmental folder, my .env folder, I'm going to create my port variable. Well, I don't need to make a port variable right now. Right now we're good. I'm going to let that be for the moment. Okay. Okie dokie. Now, what I am going to do is app.listen. We have to go back down here, add that port. Okay. And basically what we will do is we create a callback, and this callback message will just say console.log listening on port. Okay, and that's just a little message that'll print once the server is connected and is actually listening. Okay, save, and we'll just create our most basic of routes. App.get. So this will be listening at the root. And we're just going to do a res. Okay, and then that's just going to basically, we're going to respond with res.send, and we're just going to respond with hello world. Okay, so we are literally just responding with hello world. Save. Cool. Okay, and let me just go back to, this is all done downloading. I still need to download npm I. I also need .env for the environmental variables. I also need bcrypt for encrypting passwords. And I think at that point I'll be pretty good. So while we wait for that to install, let's set up some of the middleware, even though we're not using any of it yet. Okay, so again, middleware is going to be all these functions that our requests will go through. That'll do certain things for us. So like if we're getting data from a form, we want to parse that data. So app.use, okay, and that's going to be express.url encoded. Okay, and that should be here, extended true. Okay, and again, this is just going to parse form data. That's what this does. We also may want a static folder. We'll come back to that, but just in case, I'll set it up already. So express.static. And we're going to have a folder called public that will serve our static files. Okay. And we're going to want our method override, which I need to bring in. So what did I want to do there? Okay, that's all installed. Good. Anything I really want to do in particular? Yeah, let me just go make sure that all my dependencies are in the list. So my package.json, I see all my dependencies. This is all very good. I think I'll stop adding middleware for a moment so we can just do an initial deploy. So what I also need to add is a proc file. So new file. This is something that Heroku requires. The proc file, that's with a capital P, just basically says what it should do. So basically we're just saying it should start a web server, and the first thing it's going to do is just do node server.js. That's what it will do. Okay, so we're going to upload the files, and basically Heroku will notice the package.json, so it'll default to Node. Since I'm not specifying what version of Node in my package.json, it'll just use the latest version. It'll then download all the dependencies listed in the file, and then run the command that I have in this proc file. In case I need more commands, I could do that here, but basically this just means spin a web server, node. And let me just double check to make sure that that's exactly what I should be putting in that proc file. So Heroku node proc file. Because depending on what language you use, there's always slightly different things you need to have in that proc file. Yeah, I get that's not required. Let's just see what I can do instead. Okay, proc file is no longer required to run a node app. If no proc file is present in the root directory of your app, we will check the scripts.start entry for your package.json file. If such an entry is present, a default proc file is generated automatically. Okay, so we can just do that instead. So what we'll do is we'll get rid of the proc file, because that's actually easier. Move to trash. And then what that means, the start script is up here. So basically we would just change this to, well, it already says node server.js, so that's already good to go. So it'll just run that start command. Very nice. Okay, so that means we're pretty good to go. So what we need to do now is we need to create a Git repository in this folder. So you need to have Git installed on your computer. So Git init to start the Git repository in this folder. Cool. Then I need to add all my files to Git, so that way it recognizes. So Git add, Git commit -m, first commit. Good. Neat. Now you could use the Heroku CLI, or I could just do this in Heroku. I'm not going to assume that you have the Heroku CLI installed, in which case it'd be really easy. I would just type in Heroku login, I'd log in, then I would type in Heroku create, which would automatically add the remote to my Git repository, and then I would just do git push Heroku master, and it would just push all the files to Heroku. But I'll show you guys a long way, so that way it'll give you a better appreciation for what's going on in Heroku. So I'm going to create a new project. So create a new app. We're going to call this Express 0 to deploy. Someone beat me to that. Oh wait, no, let me start with a lowercase letter. So Express name should only contain lowercase letters, numbers. Okay, still complaining about the uppercases. Yes, this name is available. Okay. So we create the app. So now we have our settings here on Heroku. So again, you'd get a free Heroku account. And what I need is, I could use a CLI. So here's the directions if you wanted to use a CLI. But I'm going to show you the manual way to do it. So I'm going to go to settings. And here's our Heroku Git URL to push this up. So I'm just going to copy this URL. And I'm going to add this repository manually to my project. So I'm going to do git remote. I'm adding a remote. Add. We're going to call it Heroku. And the URL is this. And there, it's been added. Cool. So now I can push files to that particular Heroku project. Okay, so now what I can do is I can do git push Heroku master. And if everything works well, we should be able to see hello world on the page. So let's see. So as you can see, like, it pushes up to Heroku. Heroku starts building it out. Like, it sees the package.json. So the minute it sees package.json, it just knows its node. And since I didn't specify a version, it installs the latest one. Since I didn't put a proc file, it's automatically going to look for a start script in my package.json. It downloads all the dependencies in my package.json. It builds it. And then as long as nothing goes wrong, it should say something like this, build succeeded. So that's good. Here's the URL to the website. So let's go check that out. Copy. Let's go to our browser, and we should just get hello world. There's nothing else that we've added yet. Hello world. Okay, good. Our app is up and running. Okay, and I always like to do that first, because that way you know that I know my app was working at this point. So for some reason it stops working at some other point, it's because of something I did. Okay, now we're going to want to add a database because we're going to be using Mongoose. So we're going to head over to resources. And over here in resources, you can deploy a free Postgres database if you want to. Okay, so you could do that. Or you can deploy a free Mongo database with MLab. Okay, it's only free if you use the lowest tier for both. So make sure you know what you're setting up for. But again, you just read the screen. So see, sandbox free, easy. Okay, so I hit provision. It's going to add this database automatically to my project. Easy peasy. Then I'm gonna go to settings because I need to go grab the variable. So I have to make sure that all my environmental variables are on Heroku as well. Because again, that .env file is not going to be pushed up to Heroku. So any variables I specify in the .env file, I have to specify here, where it says reveal config vars. So technically, here's my Mongo URL. You can't see the whole thing, and I'm not going to let you see the whole thing. But what I do want is this key here, MongoDB URI. That's what Heroku's going to look for. So that's what I got to use in my code. So in that case, I have to take this back, bring it back to my .env file. Okay, and I'm going to put that in my .env file. Let me just put this terminal down a little bit. And I'm going to make this equal. And I'm going to use the URL that that Heroku gave me, because I'm just going to work with my production database from the get-go. So I'm going to pause this. You're not going to see me do that because I don't want you staying with the URLs, even though I am deleting it right after this is done. Well, I guess I might as well, just so you guys can see how this all works. So Control C. Okay, so I put this here. Okay, and there's my Mongo database. I'm gonna put just a little, well, let's leave it as is first. We'll see if it works. Okay, so next thing I want to test to see, I want to connect to that database. Okay, I want to make sure that works. This is kind of a long variable name, so here's what I'm gonna do. Right along like I did here with port, I'm just gonna do const db url equals process.env dot mongodb URI. So this will grab it from the environmental variables file, store it here. Now let's connect my database. I need to actually bring in Mongoose, so I need to do that up here. So let me do that. Const Mongoose. Okay, const Mongoose, and is going to equal require Mongoose. Nice. And next, I'm going to keep this pretty straightforward, so it should just be Mongoose at the most basic version of this. I usually like to do a little bit more where there's all these other little things to catch errors, but I'm not going to worry about all the deprecation warnings. Let's see here. Okay, and then I'm going to pass in the callback. Oh, I'll just put an empty object so it doesn't complain about the options. We'll see if it complains about an empty object. And then I do the callback. Okay. Error. Okay. Which, if there's an error connecting, it'll pass me in the error. Otherwise, we're good. Okay, and then what I'll just do is do this. Console.log. If error exists, so basically if an error was actually passed in, then I want it to console log the error. If not, I just wanted to say connected. Cool. So I just use a ternary operator, real simple, so I know if it worked or didn't work. Okay. Let's save that. Let's run the server just to make sure that it connects to the Mongo database. Node server.js. So it's taking a second. And yeah, it's connected. Good. I don't care about all these deprecation warnings. They're easy. You just put stuff inside this options thing, and those will go away. I'm not going to worry about that right now. Okay. Cool. And what things you need to put in there? They're actually right here, so I could literally just copy and paste them from here, which I will. Oh, that's right. Can't just do Control C from the terminal. Copy. Paste, then comma, then I need this thing as well here. Copy. Save. And as you'll see, now watch, those warnings won't quite be there so much. See, now listening on port 3000, connected. Good. Okay. So we're connected to the database. Yay. Now we need to actually create, and again, we're going to be creating an app that allows us to add, subtract pets. And we're going to have pages in which we can create, which we're going to use React. We're going to actually use React from the server side, which is using a library called Express React Views. So let me bring that in. So first we need to do app.set, and what this does is sets different configurations. So we're going to set the view engine for Express, and we're going to set it to JSX. Okay, and then we're going to create an engine, app.set, or it's app.engine. And we are going to create an engine called JSX. And then we have to create a function that runs every time that JSX engine is used, which is going to be require express react views dot engine, and that should do it. This function creates the engine that's labeled JSX, and then that sets the view engine to JSX. So that's just the way it'll work. So every time it's always going to, and basically what this really does is just says look for files with an extension JSX. So because of that, I don't have to type in JSX in my code because Vue knows to look for it. And it's going to look specifically in my views folder, so I have to go make some folders. So I'm going to go make that public folder because we did define it earlier in our static. I want to create. Wait, did I do it? Oh, I created a file, not a folder. Okay, new folder, static. Oh no, public. New folder, views, and I might as well create a models and controllers folder. Just do the full MVC thing. Okay, so new folder, models, new folder, controllers. Cool. So what we're going to do now is we're going to create our intro, or start creating our routes, I guess. So we have our intro route. I don't want it to say hello world anymore. I want it to actually take us to a page. So this will now become res.render. Okay, and right now this page is just going to be a file called index. And we're not going to send it any data, so it's just that for now. Save. Okay. Now, so I'm going to start building out some views to build this front page. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to first create a new file called layout. This is going to be my layout component with like my head tags. This is going to act as a template from all my other components. So layout.jsx. And the way this works, if you're familiar with React, this will look somewhat familiar. Const react. Yeah, that's fine. Const react equals require react. And I'm going to do all React function components because I just prefer function components. Okay, so const layout. Okay. Const layout equals props. Okay, and then basically we're going to return some JSX, and this is all going to be wrapped up in an HTML tag. And in that HTML tag we'll have a head tag, and below that we'll have the body tag. Okay. The head tag will have a title tag, which will be Alex's pet thing. Okay, and let me just save this so that way it auto formats. Thank you, prettier. Okay, cool. We'll come back to the head for a moment, but I'm gonna have each page have a h1 title, and that h1 title is gonna be up from props, so it'll be props.title. So So I can define that from page to page. And I am going to also have a main tag here. And in that main tag, we will have whatever component I'm wrapping this around. So this will be props.children. Cool. Let's see that. And then we need to export this because that's how this works. Module.exports equals layout. Save. Now I do want to have some initial styling on this. I'm going to bring in milligram. I like milligram CSS because it just, I don't have to think about classes. It just applies a lot of default styling. That I just, not enough that it, works, that the goal gets me 100% of the way there, but enough that this doesn't look ugly from the get-go. No, I want the CDN. So I'm going to go to CDN.js. Okay, so I'm going to copy the link tag, and then we'll put that in our head tag over here. So that way every page has this. Because what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this as this layout component as a wrapper for every other page. Save. Okay, good. So that's that. Now we need to create the index page. New file. Index.jsx. Because that's what we specified in our route. Okay. Then I bring everything in again. So const react equals require react. Okay, and then const layout equals require dot. And if you're used to doing React and you're used to doing like import and export, it's because we're in the back end. We're doing server-side React, so we're in node style. We don't have like Webpack or Rollup acting as a bundler to handle all those import and export statements. Require dot slash layout dot JSX. Okay, so I'm going to bring that in. Okay, then we'll have const index equals props. Okay, and then I'm just going to export this module dot exports equals index, and then and then we're going to do a return. We're going to wrap this in layout. There we go. And I'll just put a h1 hello world there for a moment. Just so that way Prettier doesn't get rid of the parentheses. And there we go. Here we have a nice boilerplate for and actually let me just put the prop of title. Title equals welcome. Okay. Because now what I can do is I'm going to just make a copy of this file. Copy, paste in views. And I'm going to rename this template. So that way I don't have to type in all that boilerplate every single time. Okay, so back to index. So we've wrapped it in the layout. So that way all the styling will be consistent from page to page. Nice. Whew. And we're 30 minutes in, not too bad for 30 minutes. Okay. And we'll keep this really simple. We'll just say H1. Below are the pets. Okay. Below are the pets. Okay, and we don't have any pets yet, so we won't worry about that yet. Okay. Okay, we'll come back to actually putting the pets there. We need to actually be able to add pets first. So below that, we'll have another H1. And here we'll put in a add the pets, or add a pet section. Yeah, add a pet's fine. Okay, and we put a form. Form action. It's going to go to an endpoint called slash pet add. Okay, and it's going to be method. It's going to be a post request. And this is just going to have an input of type text. That has the name of, I should just put a placeholder so that people know what the field is. Placeholder, pet name, but the name of the field will be name. Okay, slash, okay, and then we'll just have another one for type of pet, and then a submit button. Okay, so this one will be type of pet, still text, pet type, and this will be type. And then this will be a submit, because we're going to use this to submit the field. I don't think we really need here is a value for create pet. Okay, I'm missing something somewhere. That's a quotation mark right here. Okay, save. So we have this form now. Let's actually see if this page is showing up. So I'm gonna hit Nodamon. Nodamon I have globally installed, so I didn't have to download it earlier. What this does, it just allows me to run the server without me having to turn it off and turn it on every time I make changes, because it'll restart the server every time I make a change to the JavaScript. So it's gonna start up. And let's just make sure that it all connects just fine. Oh, something's wrong. Require.engine is not a function. Okay, let's take a look what I did there. Express React views.engine. Express React views require dot. Oh, I think it's create engine. That's it. Create engine is the name of the function. We'll give it one more shot. If not, I'll have to go look it up. Nope, it worked. Haha, huzzah. Okay, good. So now if I go to the route, it should take me to, well, not there. We're still local. We haven't pushed it back up to Heroku yet. So Heroku's still going to say hello world. No default engine was specified and no extension was provided. Something went wrong. So it's probably views engine. Okay, is what I'm looking for then. Okay, let's try that again. No default engine was specified, no extension was provided. Woo! Let me read my code again. Well, actually, let me do a shift restart first, just to make sure it's not like cached. Yep. Okay, so I will just do a quick search. Express React views. I always get those two lines of code slightly off. You can only remember so much. Yeah, let's see here. Set. Oh, it's view space engine. There we go. It's close, so close. Let's try it now. It's rendering. It's rendering. See, it's all this having to wait for it to render. That's why we like single-page applications that render browser side. You welcome below our pets. Add a pet. Right now the form doesn't do anything, but the page works, so that's good. Now we just need to create that route, so when we submit this button, it does something. Although I would like to get that button down lower, so I'm going to go take care of that. So what I'm going to do, let's go back to index.jsx. I'm going to put that button in a div. So that way it breaks off into a separate block, making it more aesthetically pleasing. Not that, you know, this as is a very aesthetically pleasing site, but that's at least not bothering me. Okay. Okay, so let's go make a route. So head back to our server.js. Now, yeah, I'll do the new route here. I could make a separate bundle routes and put them in the controllers folder, but for the sake of time, I'm going to do it here. So app, app.post, and this one is I think what was it, /new/layout index, oh, /pet/new. Yeah, let's do a router. Okay, so let's go to controllers, new file. We'll call this pet controller. All right, or I'll just call it pet.jsx, pet.js. No need to make some long file name. Okay, so I'm gonna bring in express here. Const express equals express. Oh no, require express. Require express. Okay. Then I need to create a router object. So we're gonna say const pet router equals express.router. That creates the router, and now I can describe all the routes here, and I just need to module.exports equals pet router. Cool. Okay, and then what we're going to do pet router dot post /new okay, rec res. Right now we don't actually have a model to interact with the database yet, so for now we're just going to say this route res.send, you added a pet, just so we can test it out. You added a pet. Okay, so we need to connect this router over to our server.js. So that's back to our middleware. I'm going to want to put this at the end, so I'm actually put this right over here. App.use. This is going to be for any route that starts off with /pet. And what it does, it's going to use the pet router, which I have to bring in. I'm going to need to put a comma there. I need to bring in the pet router. So const pet router equals require, and that's inside the controllers folder. Is it called controllers, or is it controller? Yep, controllers /pet.js. Okay, and /controllers /pet.js, and I need to put a little dot here. There we go. So that should bring that in. So now I should be able to hit that button. So let's create a pet, put some gibberish here, more gibberish, and then I hit create pet. There, pet add. Let's see here, where did I go wrong? Let's go back to first here. So if I hit submit, it's going to go to pet add. Just what I got right, pet add, good. And it's going to make a post request. Oh, let's see what the error says. Oh. Okay, so everything was working fine, except I messed up my route because I forgot a comma. So new, there we go. That should fix that. Okay, let's well, cancel. Let me go back to the previous page. Refresh. Gibberish. Gibberish. Cannot post pet add. Oh, it's looking for pet add. Ah. So he's realizing, like, wait, that doesn't match new add. Ah. Gotta make sure my routes match. Cool, so let's go back, refresh, and let's put some gibberish and some more gibberish. You added a pet. Okay, so we didn't, because again, our route doesn't do anything, but theoretically we have it set up so we can. Well, now we need to actually set up our model. So we're gonna go to our model folder, create a new model.js or pet.js in the model folder, because we want to have our pet controller match the pet model, which could theoretically match the pet views. Although I'm pretty much just going to have one view for this. This is going to be really straightforward. Cool. So I need to do const. Okay, const. I need to bring in Mongoose. Well, actually, I'm just going to destructure what I need from Mongoose. Const, I want schema, and I want model. Yeah. Okay, from Mongoose. And actually, he has to do require Mongoose. Okay. And what I need to do is create a new schema. So we're going to call this pet schema, which is going to equal a new schema. And a schema is just really like a filter for like what your data looks like in your database. So we're going to say, hey, every pet has a property. It's a name. That's a string. It has a, well, I need a comma there. String. It's going to have a type. That's a string. And that's about it. Keep it real simple. Now we need to actually say where in the database do we want to save the information about these pets. So I need to do const pet equals a new model. So it's model, and then we'll pass in, okay, in the database, I want you to save it in a collection called pet. And when you take a look at what data you save in that pet collection in my Mongo database, I want you to use the pet schema as sort of the filter of what comes in and what comes out. Okay, cool. And that pet, this pet object is what I can use to interact with the database now. So I need to send that out. So module.exports equals pet. That's, we send that out. I need that over here in my pet controller, so I need to bring it in over here. So const pet equals require, and then that's a folder above us, so it's 2 dots because it's a folder above us, but I need to put that in quotations. It's a folder above us, then back down to the models folder, and it's a file called pet.js. Cool. Okay, so that's there. So now we can actually change this to add a pet. Okay, so we can do res dot it would be pet dot create. Okay, and basically the data from our form should be in the rec body, in the request body. So we're going to do rec dot body should have the pet we're creating, and then we have to pass in a callback. What do we do after the pet's been added to the database? Error new pet will be the second thing, because that's technically what it does. It returns you what you just created. And then what we're going to do here is we're going to redirect them back to the root. Res.redirect /. Okay, so every time you create a new pet, it'll just send you right back to the main page. Okay, but we want to list all the pets. So we need to bring in the pets. So I need to bring in this model somewhere else. I need to bring it back to server.js because that's where I have the index route. So let me go back up here, bring in pet, const pet equals require. Now this file's in our root, so now we're going just down. So technically the model below us is the models folder. I don't need to go up, I just need to go straight down to the models folder and get pet.js. Woo! Lots of typing. Okay, so now we want to make it where you can find the pet. So we're going to go over here. First, we're going to find the pet. Find. Now we have to do pet.find. Then we want to find all the pets. So I'm going to pass it an empty object. And then we do our callback for what happens when it finds all the pets. And we'll just create this variable as found pets. Okay. And then we're going to do our res.render. Again, we're sending it to that index page. Res.render index, and then we're going to pass it. We're going to send them the data, and we're going to send them the pets, but we're going to call it in a variable called pets. And that pets is going to equal all the found pets that we got from the database. Okay, so cool. So now it's going to first find the pets from the database, then send those over to our view. So now I can go back and create all those pets in my index.jsx. So right here where it says list the pets, we're going to create a UL. And then we're going to map. So that would be props.pets. Because again, this is a function component, not a class, so know this. Props.pets.map. That would be value. Okay, and it's going to be an li. Oh, this is going to be needed parentheses. An li. Nope. Li. And then in each li, we're going to have an h3 that has the pet's name. So it's going to be value.name because each value is each time we loop. I actually probably would be better to change that to pet so it's more clear. So we're looping over pets, and each time we loop, it's a pet. And so this will be pet.name. Singular because it's one individual pet now. And then right below this h3 will be an h4 where it's pet.type. Cool. Save. So now let's try this out. Oh, actually, is the server running first? Yep, server is running. Good. Let's go back to the main page. And we'll call it Spot, which is a dog. I hit create pet. And look, Spot got created. So I can add pets. Okay, I can add Rover, who's also a dog. And again, this is in the database, so if I refresh the page, it's still going to be there. Ha! Nice. Cool. Now, I'm not going to do all full CRUD here, so I'm not going to add all the ability to delete or edit right now, just because that's we're already 50 minutes into this. But I am going to add some password protection. So what we're going to do is we're going to create a login route. And I'm going to hard code the password just for the sake of time. So let me go to my server.js, and we're going to create a route that takes us to a login page. App.get, and that's going to be to /login, and this will take us to a rec res pet. No finding pets. Res.render login. So we're going to render a login page, and then when you log in there, you'll be able to submit, and it'll take you to this page, app.post, or it'll submit the form data to a /login post route, which will check to see that you put in the right username and password. Okay, rec.res. And I'm just going to literally hard code in username and password. Okay, which then reminds me I need to have session. Okay, we did install Express Session, so I need to bring in Express Session. Session creates like a persistent data, so that way, because right now all our data only exists for each time we make a request. So the minute that we get our website back, all the data we had is gone. So if I want certain data to kind of exist from every time you interact with the website, I need to create a session. So let's do that. Well, first I got to bring it in. Okay, so const session equals require express sessions. Let's see here. It is express sessions, just making sure. Again, a lot of squiggly lines because I installed Deno extensions. So the way Deno does things is a little bit different than how Node does things. So I can't rely as much on my error highlighting. Server.js. That's where I was. Okay, we brought in session. So now I need to bring in the session, and we'll just say app.use session, and then we have to pass in a config object, but we have to have the secret. The secret will be cheese, and then it's, I think, save uninitialized, which will be false. Okay, and we'll see if it lets me get away with that. I think there's one more I need to save in there, so let's go do a search. Express sessions. Shouldn't have the S, but it's still installed, so it might be, hopefully it's just another version of the same library. Okay, we'll hope for the best. So let's see, I'm just looking for, that's what I want. I want these two to be false. Copy. And there we go. So I'm just going to paste that right over. Resave false, save uninitialized. It's all fine with me. Okay. Warning invalid, DOM property, cross origin. Did you mean cross origin? Okay, that's just React stuff. That had nothing to do with this at the moment. Okay, it's complaining. Let's see here. Unexpected token. That's server line 48. Yeah, there's a missing something. No. Oh, because I have this if there and I never finished it. Okay, post. So now that we have session, if rec.session. Oh, actually, that's good. If let me just actually destructure the username and password from the rec body object. So const username password, that's going to be inside the rec body. So let's get that out of there. If username equals Alex and password equals cheese. Oh, let's not do that. There we go. If that's true, then what's going to happen is that we're going to take that session object that's created by that middleware we just set up, and we're going to create a logged. We're going to create a login property, which we will say equals true. Okay, and then that will be that. Okay. And then either way, it'll just redirect you back to the main login. Res.redirect back to the main page. Save. Oh, my birdie's here. Okay. Let's see here. Now we just need to create the login page. So we're going to copy the template. Copy. So these little things save time. Okay, template copy. We're going to rename that to login. Okay, so let's head over to that one. This is just going to be a login form. Action equals to /login, and that's going to be a method of post. Okay, and then we're going to have 2 inputs. I'll just copy that right over from our index page just for the sake of time. Actually, I want all of this. Okay. And okay, this first one will be username. Okay. Oh, this should be text. So I'll go fix in the other one as well. Pet type, this is going to be password. Actually, that should be a password field for this particular one. Password. And this should be username. This should be password. And this would be login. Save. Okay, so let's see here. That should be good. That should do what I need to do, but I do want to change one other thing over here. Fix this typo here. Make this text. Save. Cool. Now let's just see if this all works. But what we're going to do is create some middleware. Okay. I'll have to do it twice. Okay. Or what I can do is I'll just create another file here at the top for any custom middleware I'm going to make. So new file, I'll call it middle.js. Okay, because I'm going to be using this twice. Okay, and I'm just going to basically say const auth for authentication equals rec res next. This is our middleware, and it's going to be pretty straightforward. If rec.session.login, if that's true, then next. Just go do whatever you're about to do. Else, res.redirect back to login. Okay. And then we just need to export the auth. Module.exports equals auth. Save. That way this is okay. Because I'm going to need it over here. So I'm going to bring in auth. Const auth equals require ./middle.js. Okay. Yep. Okay. And then I'm going to use that function as middleware on my routes here, mainly just on this root route. Actually, I can just use it all here because I'm pretty sure I can do this auth, and then I think here I can do the same thing. Can I do that there? Yeah, I can. Okay. So what's going to happen is that when it hits a pet URL, it's going to check for authentication first, and if not, that's going to forward it back to the login page, and then basically you have to be authenticated to do anything other than login. So basically, as soon as I go to the website, it's going to force me to log in. So let's go do this. Let's refresh. Boo! Let's take a look. Oh, the server's not running. What line is this on? Application.js throw. Server.js 25. Wires a middleware function. Use this function session const session require express sessions, but it stalled it. That's weird. I did notice the typo earlier, but let's see here. Express sessions. I wonder what that is then. Okay, well, let's do it right then. Control C. I'm going to uninstall express sessions. So npm uninstall express sessions. Get rid of that first, so that way it's not crowding up my package JSON. Because as we saw earlier, that should be express session. Okay, so we'll do that. Okay, so that got removed. So now I can do npm install express session singular. Let that install. Let me just go make sure that my code reflects that now while that installs. So session, just take out the S, express session, and then we use that session function right over there. So that works for me. Okie dokie. So let's node. Oh no. Save. Let's node them on the server. Server.js. Almost there. Oh, good. It's all connected. It's all running fine. So that's good. Let's go back to our page. Should have forced us to the login page. And that's what it did. Good. Now if I type in Alex and cheese, because that's what I hard-coded in there, that should let me log in successfully and take me to the page with the pets. And it works. Ha! I don't have a logout button, so I can't log back out, but you guys get the idea. And we know we can add pets. So now all I have to do to deploy it is git add all my new code, git commit -m new code, and then we push to Heroku. Git push Heroku master, and let's watch it. Okay, so that's building it all out. So you see it's going through the thing. Good, okay. Let's give it like a few seconds, but it should be up and running now. So if I go to express 0 to deploy Heroku.app, and see, it takes me to the login page. I put in Alex Cheese, log in, and now I can add pets. Huzzah! It works. It's deployed. It's online. So there you go. In this, we've used Mongo, we've used Express, we've used React, we've used Heroku, we've created an app from scratch, deployed it. It's not the prettiest app, it's not the most functional app, but we did do this in 1 hour and 5 minutes with some bug fixing throughout. So not a bad deal. If I wanted to make this video longer, I could go for another hour, and I could definitely add some extra styling and the additional routes, but I figured maybe I'll do that in the second video. But for now, this should be pretty cool. I'll see you guys in a bit.